Well, hello everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the beautiful world you are. Welcome back to Chantal, from Aquarius Rising Africa. And I have with me super interesting guest today, Sean McCann. And Sean McCann, let me just get his I want to say credentials because he's quite an amazing guy, actually. We've just had a little behind the scenes chat. And we are talking about a super interesting topic today. And I'm certainly just going to, I think, title it for now, Circumcision is Child Sacrifice. Not an easy topic to talk about, but we're certainly going to be doing it because, wow, I think it makes so much sense to see it in that way. And then we can also see a lot of the psychology of the and female psyche coming out to play. But anyway, Sean, welcome. Sean is he is the owner of Wake the Dead podcast. He's a father, anarchist. I like that. I love that. Wasn't it? Who was the band in the 80s? Sex Pistols, yeah?
Yeah, they wore the
Right?
moniker. They had the symbols. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was my band, boy. The Sex Pistols in the 80s. Right. And wonderful, a photographer, researcher. And I've actually I met Sean via Jamie J. You guys have watched a few of my podcasts with her, and we're also doing a series together. Fantastic researcher. So I'm really very happy to meet you, Sean, and welcome. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm glad to be here and honored to meet you and be on your podcast. And yes, Jamie is a good friend. I've been friends with her for years, and she's introduced me to various people that I've learned from, and she's helped to open my mind in different ways and to show me realities that I did not know I needed to know, and I'm so thankful.
Right.
Uh, so
Yeah.
uh, she um, she actually tells me about how my work has impacted her understanding too, as far as circumcision is child abuse. It's child ritual, child sacrifice. Ritual, a routine is a ritual, and its proper term is
Right.
routine infant circumcision. So
Wow.
it's right to think about the psychology of the males who have endured this abuse, and I myself am one of them. That's why I am so in-depthly researching this topic, is to understand myself and my mind, and probably why I dive so deep into SRA and mind control, because those topics are definitely completely related to this. And the fact that I'm an anarchist also, we have bodily autonomy. I own myself like you own yourself.
Right.
That's like
Right.
a truth in nature. And for us to be born in this body and then to immediately be tied down to a board and forcibly, it's our first sexual experience because they have to stimulate the penis to make it hard before they cut, and it's also the most pain that a male human can have. They remove 60 to 80% of the Meissner corpuscles, which are fine touch nerve endings. And there's like major blood vessels there, and many children die just from bleeding. And the
What? Are you saying that kids actually die from circumcision?
Yes, yes, hundreds a year. Um, it's common, and also many of them are botches. It's like they're mistakes and ruined, and um, the baby never comes back to the hospital for a follow-up visit. They cut the baby and then see you later. They don't know what happens. And a lot of times the doctors in will be training their nurses or their nurses' assistants, and they'll let the nurse do the work. They just go ahead, yeah, never done one before, whatever, and they botch it, and the kid will bleed out and die. Like baby diapers full of blood, baby just dies. The idea of sudden infant death syndrome, that is a cover up for circumcision deaths. Like the baby actually dies from the circumcision trauma. This is, and they
Okay.
use
Hey,
sudden infant death syndrome as a just to paste over it with some like something that's not true. It's not real. Just like in COVID, they were trying to say, oh, sudden adult death syndrome, like what the, SADS or whatever the hell. So that it's just it's a mind control device to hide the truth. Please, you were going to say something.
I find it absolutely fascinating, and nothing you're saying I disagree with, because this has been a topic that I know I've discussed at length over the years, and I have to say, with partners as well. Some had been circumcised while others hadn't, and the ones who had not been circumcised were much happier than the ones who had been. And I
Right.
mean, I'm not going to go into detail, right, guys? I think you all know what I'm talking about here. But I mean, that's kind of like the general consensus. And I know we had a off-air chat earlier on, and there was one thing I regret is that my son was circumcised, but that was not my choice. That was his father who made that decision. And interestingly enough, his father was not circumcised, but he insisted my son be circumcised. Now, that to me is very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, that is wild because we've spoken, I mean, just this topic. And I know Jamie J and I had a sort of a short conversation about that when she was connecting you and I as well. I said, wow, we have to discuss this. And I know it's not an easy topic for people to listen to or to hear. It's actually quite interesting how many people feel like it's almost as if you throw cold water at them when you mention this topic. But I think it's such an important one. Um, but I'm going to ask you to walk us back to the beginning, when a child, and if you don't mind, even maybe bring in a little bit of your own experience, because I know you spoke a little bit about you also having quite a traumatic birth and then immediately being circumcised and then having to deal with separation from your mother at the same time. Just the psychology behind that for a baby, and especially a baby boy, right?
Right.
Because a man's penis is his manhood. It's something he identifies with very strongly, right?
Yes.
Now, it
Would
would, it would, sorry, I just want to finish by saying it would
please. Yes. Yes.
absolutely make sense that they would want to emasculate the males by doing that.
Mm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's evil in the males and the females when the choice happens to do that. It's the ultimate domination of by the mother of the child. And I've even known I've met a woman who hates men, and she goes to the bar to get knocked up, and like on purpose. She does lots of drugs. I've seen her take a handful of pills, gulp them, and say, "What are these, Xanax?" Like after she took them. So this person is like, anyway, I'm not gonna say her name, but she would get pregnant, and then they would do the ultrasound, and if it was a boy, she would abort the baby. She's got like two or three daughters. So that right there is like an extreme case, right? So this is like There's some women that hate men, they might not even know that. And there's men as well that end up hating women. It's an ultimate divider. It cleaves us from the mother. Like you said, myself, they physically took me away from the mother. I was born with the umbilical cord around my neck, and I was uh, dead, and I but was revived, but they took me into the hospital for days. I was like taken away, and and circumcision itself naturally cleaves the boy away from the mother. Uh, a lot of like a common thing that happens is that boys won't latch to their mother's breast after the circumcision happens, and the mother will look in the eyes of the kid and won't. The kid will just be just changed. And there is medical proof of this, that the child never goes back to baseline. It changes their brain forever. And I can show you the study online if you want. And so this basically is the goal. It's not about cleanliness. It's not about penile cancer. It's not about all the crap they say. And even the AAP admits that, the American Association of Pediatrics, who I think like recently they just said we should get out of the circumcision business. So at least they said that they're changing. But um, they they said that there is no medical reason for it. They admit there is no reason. And over all the years, they've been giving all these reasons that are just bunk, like they believe that they're going to save from cervical cancer or AIDS or any of that. And if you look at Europe and the rest of the world, none of them circumcise many don't circumcise their babies, and there's no more cases of AIDS or all those things that they try to say. So that's logically proven to be untrue, and so all those fall by the wayside. And in the old days, it was one of the main reasons was they didn't want the child to grow up to masturbate because the extra skin allows for the masturbation to be facilitated. And these Victorian a-holes that wanted to dominate the society would do that because they believed that that masturbation was the cause of all of the ill wills of society and all this whatever bullcrap. So, but you mentioned earlier about the cold water reaction. Some people, it's just, whoop, they just switch and change, and what? All of a sudden, logic doesn't mean anything. Cognitive dissonance, like you see hear the baby cry, and you see the pain and anguish. You see the baby change forever, and the parents are like, oh, they don't feel anything, or oh, that just a little snip, and they tell themselves and that's
No.
because it's trauma. So I'm sure you've spoken to many people, even Jamie, that trauma is the key to mind control. So that's why they do that to SRA babies, satanic ritual abuse and generational abuse and all that. They abuse them with sexual trauma given to them by the ones who are supposed to care for them, their parents. And that is
In
what
the
splits the
most
core. What's that? Were you going to say something? Okay.
No, no, I'm so with you. I'm agreeing with you. It's just like it makes such sense that that is actually where it begins. And even when you're not taking a child into SRA or any type of abusive situation, but just the mere act of emasculating him within a day or two of him being born is actually, and especially when we're having this conversation, is uh, it's absolutely, it makes my blood boil. And you know what is very interesting, yeah, because obviously the foreskin is very, very rich in stem cells. Now you're looking at a lot of these celebrities that are having these facials using the foreskins of circumcised babies and having the most fantastic beauty results.
Yeah, right.
Sandra Bullock
Yeah,
Sandra Bullock is well known for speaking about that in one of the shows she did not too
right.
long ago.
With Ellen DeGeneres, I saw that, and
Yes.
people still give her hate for that, and she deserves every all the hate she gets. Yeah, that so that's like ancient magic. When you take the blood of children, you become youthful. And you know, even Elizabeth Bathory would like bathe in the blood and the virgins, right? To make them youthful, right? If you can look up ancient any kind of occult ancient rites and stuff that the child sacrifice is used in the lengthening of life and the maintaining of vitality of the
Mm,
practitioner, the dark occult magician. Um, and I wanted to
absolutely.
mention the Yahweh ancient Yahweh cults that like the one that ended that's still around today. Um, they would they would forcibly circumcise their vanquished enemies. And that is like the ultimate emasculization. And if you didn't agree to be circumcised, then they kill you. So okay, and it's the mark of the slave, and it's very deep. Yeah, and
That
go ahead. Sorry.
that's super interesting because over here, one of the oldest African tribes, the Xhosa people, have a tradition that when the sun is 17, again, we're looking at 17, they become what they call maquetas. So he goes off into the wild and he becomes a man and does all sorts of things and paints his whole body white. And one of them is becoming circumcised. He gets circumcised at the age of 17 when he becomes a maqueta, which he becomes a man. And I actually, the my mom's carer, she's a Xhosa lady, and her son. So I asked her, I said, so has he gone? She says, yes, they all have to go. I said, what do they do there? Come now, tell me. Because as kids, I mean, I grew up with the Xhosa people. We saw them, and no one could tell us what was going on. We just knew. And then they did whatever they did in the by themselves, and no one really knew what they were. Still, and I said to her, what do they do? She says, I don't know. Us women, we're not allowed to know.
Hmm.
So I'm actually very interested to know
Right.
what
So
that would be about. Wow.
so they do that when they're 17 to
17.
separate them from the childhood and now their manhood, right? And that
Right,
piece
yes.
of foreskin is like a connection to the mother somehow. It's like a, but really it's our connection to females in general. That's where we connect and make sacred union and make babies, you know. And
Of course.
right. So like it is
What?
separation from the female, but you know, the future mother, I guess. The and the idea of the mother, the women aren't allowed to know what's happening. That's still today with in the hospitals in America. The women are locked out. They don't get to go in and see because the screaming. I mean, they would not. It would not continue anymore. The doctors wouldn't make their $400 per cut, and they wouldn't make the 40,000 or whatever they get for the tissue itself because of the stem cells and because of all the the pain infused blood or whatever the hell they want. There's evil monsters, but they sell the circumcision, like they sell the foreskins, the prepuce into the medical industry, and it's huge money. Doctor makes like $400, but that's nothing. Like it really is huge. And yeah,
10 circumcisions a day. That's
ugh,
4 grand a day
right.
just on cutting
Torture,
off little boys.
torture. Yeah.
This is so disturbing. I can't tell you how disturbing this is for me. I mean,
You knew it was
it's
going to
just
be, I
no,
mean,
no. It
yeah.
it's nothing. It's so true, but it's so true. Um, and what you were saying now is absolute. That is the reason. Because if you look at SRA, the first thing they do is create division with the mother. The mother is the one that bears the child. That baby grows in the mother's womb for 9 months. That's all the baby trusts, connected via the umbilical cord. I mean, it's part of the mother, right? And then the first thing they do when that baby's born is will create division, mistrust, hatred, whatever between the mom. You would know that, right? And the child. Now, that would be the first thing they do is to disconnect in that way, cut off the foreskin, which not only connects or is symbolic of the connection to the mother, but also to woman and your pleasure zone. Because that, for a male, is where your ultimate pleasure zone would then be in sexual intercourse, right? So I
Right.
would imagine in intimacy that, so they're severing that. They sever the intimate connection to the mother because it takes a child 10 months to wean from the mom energetically once it's born. The baby actually needs to be with the mom, sleeping in the bed as close to her as possible for literally the first year, because that's a natural separation, right? And now, I mean, look at this. Not just out the womb, slap your ass, inject you with whatever, cut your foreskin off, separate you from your mom. Oh my God, no wonder my child had such issues with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I regret all the yelling I did with my mother. You know,
Wow.
like my mother is gone now. She took the jabs.
Oh,
So
I'm so
she
sorry.
got like
Oh
the but
no.
while it was happening, I was learning of my trauma and understanding my brain, and I would talk to her about it, and she would be like, "Nope, don't talk to me about it. Nope, why don't you just get over that? Nope, you're wrong," and it was a real trauma
You
for
know,
me to not have
I
her say I'm sorry, and like I care. Like, she did kind of, but it wasn't. She thought that I was the aggressor for bringing up the topic when she instructed people to tie me down and torture me. But I'm the aggressor, so that angered me so much, and I unloaded a lot of anger onto her, and it was in the end she couldn't speak anymore. I spoke to her on the phone. She made noises back at me. I mean, I apologized, but it's really like I don't know if that's a reason why I've had trouble in many parts of my life, and this how my brain has been altered. And why do I jump to yelling? Why is it that, what am I, is it because I have a learned helplessness?
helpless,
Yes, I have a learned
absolute
helplessness.
helpless,
And like
absolute
I'm
but that's it, that helplessness that
right.
that the
And the
baby feels
anger,
sorry.
bursting out with anger is like
Yeah.
being a cat in a corner. And even when I talked about this the first time on my show, like Wake the Dead episode 21, um, I was like, my fingers got stiff and numb, like my hands became numb, and I was like, I wasn't like breathing too much, but I was having a physical reaction to just speaking about it. And I had to pause and stop the recording and like go walk my dog and come back to it a couple hours later. And it was really like, I recognized that I have been deeply affected. And so because I found that, and it's hidden in there because the trauma, what it does is hide it. Trauma is like your
Right.
body, your brain is like, nope, don't want to look at that. The poor
The
generationally,
natural resistance.
yes, the poor uh, generationally abused SRA children, they have to make a full-on separate identity to hide away that memory so their front self is protected. And that is the same mechanism all our brains do. It's like just how humanity works, right? It's like you're getting chased by a tiger, you're going to have adrenaline to help you run. If you're being held down and your genitalia is being removed, then you're also going to have chemicals flowing through your brain and body. And this is pain
Totally.
infused blood. And if you look at the metzitza of the Jewish mohels, they put their mouth on the wound and they suck the blood from the penis of the baby. Um, and like I said, that's their first sexual experience. And all the relatives have to be there to listen to the screams and watch the monster like suck on the genitalia of their loved baby. Um,
How do you, how,
right.
how
Yeah.
is that ever, how is
Yeah.
that ever okay? How is that even made into, oh my God,
Yeah,
no,
right. Oh my God. Oh my God. And if you think about it, like the people watching are re-traumatized by listening to the baby from into their own what happened to their own self. And then here comes the priest master. And like he's the guy that tied me down and sucked on my peenie when I was a kid, and oh, the fear comes and the obedience comes. And it's like a it for the Jews, it's like a trauma bonding for their cult, like where the other Jews, they've all been circumcised together, so like they have this thing together that they share, but also like they are all affected, and in Israel itself, like all of them have to serve in the military too. Like, I mean, they are mind controlled to be
right,
that way,
totally,
right?
totally,
And
wow,
for America to be owned by Israel, then they have to do that to all of our males too, so that we will go along with, yeah, bomb them, turn them to glass, yeah, right, like, and if you look at our culture, the way that males dominate females, if you look at the the way that a bonobo's genitalia is built as opposed to a gorilla has all of its sensory organs in the glands, like the head of the member, while the bonobo has it in their foreskin, like a human. And the way that bonobos and gorillas are, like a bonobo
right,
will fuck another. Excuse my language. A bonobo will have
it's true,
sexual intercourse with another
it's true.
bonobo like a handshake. They'll be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
And they're it's love. They love each other. It's a bonding love. And for the gorillas, they take the female, rape it, and they're done in a couple minutes. And then that's how they maintain their alpha status. They get to rape the most. And then so the females don't do the choosing. So like the traits that are passed on are who's the most dominant, So that's how they've evolved to
right,
be different in this way. And so
wow,
this the mind controllers that are the dark occult that have been running things since the Pharisees and the, ancient Babylon and whatever all that Jesus was fighting against, those people, the dark occult rulers, they use this on their own people to create this psychology and this helplessness and this obedience to authority. And it also instills, it's like an endless, all these things it does. It also instills freeze, the fight, flight, and freeze, that we have the
right,
natural response from our reptile brain. When we're faced with danger, we could either fight it or run. But when you're a baby held down to a circumstraint board, if you're tied down to a board and you can't move and you can't fight it, all you can do is scream. Well, then that naturally induces the dissociation. And that is like, it becomes the baseline for when we are faced with another situation like that. Just like when an SRA victim will see the same triggers and, oh no, I'm going to get raped again, they'll switch because then the one that can endure that pain is there ready to, you know, be at the front and ready to take the pain, and then they can switch back. So it's the same thing. Like when, I mean, not directly the same, but in a lesser way. So the circumcision creates like SRA trauma on all the males. And even though they say in America it's like it's against the law federally to circumcise a female, and that's like, child abuse and you go to jail. That's not true for the males, you know, F them, we don't care, you know. But that's how it is, and we've had this bifurcating of society and splitting of the genders for a long time, and this goes right along with that whole thing. The um, women's lib movement and all that was pushed by Rockefeller. It was like his own purpose
Yeah,
to divide and to make women part of the
yeah.
workforce and they could be taxed and all that crap. It's just making more
Separate
slaves.
the families.
Yeah,
Separate the families. Yeah.
right, right,
Get the kids, educate the kids,
right,
and then become their slaves. Yeah,
right. And it's,
exactly.
the schooling is more learned helplessness, and
Mhm.
it trains us
Exactly.
that real information is bad. Books are bad, like just like how the circumcision trains us that like touching our genitalia is bad. Like the Kellogg, the guy that he ran sanitariums during the Victorian times. John Harvey Kellogg, I think is his name.
Mm.
That guy was crazy, absolutely crazy. He would give people coffee enemas. He was famous. Like all these people, like rich people would go to his sanitarium and have treatments and whatnot. They even made a movie in the 90s, The Road to Wellville, about this sanitarium that he ran. And so basically he was crazy and a Gnostic also. So he had a marriage, but he never consummated the marriage. He was against all fornication. So, and then he adopted like many orphan children, and he had all these children. He was a rich guy, but it was psycho, basically. And he advocated for the circumcision of both males and females as babies, and he said it should be done with no anesthesia, so that the baby associates pain with that general area of the body, so that there would be no masturbation. And yeah, so that uh, and that still happens. Like,
Wow.
right? Yeah. Wow.
This is insane.
Yes. Insane as well
That
put.
one person's idea affects billions of children.
Yes. Yes. And that person's idea becomes the excuse for all the controllers that want to use that voice as a cudgel on the rest of society. Just like they propped up Kinsey and Freud and Einstein and all these other ones that are like shaping our view. And now people think like, oh, it's just a little snip, and oh, it's funny and whatever, and and women act like, oh, I prefer a cut, that, oh, I don't like an anteater dick or whatever they prefer. Like, who the hell are you to prefer? It's my body, man.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't
exactly.
like it, then don't touch it. Like, go away. You know what I mean? Why do they want me to be cut?
Sure.
There's a lot of psychos out there, like Chelsea Handler and all that shit they talk about, like because of their sexual preference, and a lot of mothers, because of their sexual preference, impose that on their babies. Like, why are they thinking
Exactly.
of sexual encounters of their kids? Why they're oh, I'm doing this as a favor for all his future girlfriends. Like, that's psycho, right? And but so these are all just excuses that they tell themselves so they don't have to look at the reality that it is torture. I tortured my own baby, and I'm sorry. I know that your own baby, I mean, it was coercion in your case. And I'm sure it's still harmful to you. Like, but there's some others that are proud, and there's others that just don't want to, like my own, who's just don't want to think it could be, and I had two brothers,
Yeah.
there's three of us that were abused this way, and in my family, and my dad, you know, uh, he didn't even think about it. Like, I've talked to him, and For most guys, it's like, oh, yeah, make him look like me or whatever. But really deep inside, it's like, it's a denial of their own trauma. It's not trauma. No, go ahead, do that to them. It's okay because what was done to me was not trauma. It didn't hurt. Girls like it. Women like my dong or whatever, And it's they're just denial, and cognitive dissonance.
Totally.
Right. So I mean,
And it's exact.
please,
Sorry,
no,
Sean, I
please.
just
It's
wanted to
okay. It's
say
okay.
it's exactly the cognitive dissonance, I think, is the word around this. And I wanted to just say I've been a healer for many years, and it's what you were saying earlier on with your mom, denial and not being able to acknowledge. I just want to say this to any parent out there, any mother, any father. I'm a mother and I have a mother, all right? Um, there is nothing more healing than just a parent saying to their child, I'm sorry I fucked up. I didn't know any better at the time. I did that with my son, and I got to tell you, it melted everything. I was young. I was 20, 21 when I had him. I loved him to pieces, but I made many mistakes with him. And we both paid the price, you know? And I'm just saying, for something as huge as this, I think as moms, the more we understand, you see, I've come to the conclusion forgiveness is bullshit. We can't forgive because forgiveness is just, in my opinion, it's an abused word. But what we can do is we seek to understand. And when we understand that someone didn't know any better at the time, she was just a child, your mother, she didn't know any better. I speak to like one other particular guest is Chris Latterow, who's a Montauk survivor. And he, also his mother, thinking she was doing a good thing, by these CIA guys who were working in the same office as her, got her to sign her kid over to the CIA to be tortured for decades, and also can't actually acknowledge the mistake. So chooses to not speak to him right now. And it's such a, if only moms can realize, just acknowledge and sit with your child and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know any different. I promise you, that's going to be the most healing thing anyone can ever do. It's
I
absolutely worked for my
I,
son and me.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yes, that's it's so important. I mean, our mother is the most important relation to another human
Absolutely.
that all of us have. And uh, if we can't heal that relationship, then how are we going to be able to commune with any other human?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I say, in every way, they're going to attack your relationship with your mother. And also understand in most instances, your mother has been mind controlled on some level as well. We want our mothers to be these perfect beings. But when we realize they are just human, just like you and I, and they've screwed up and they've done the best they can with what they have, that's important to realize, because as soon as and this is where the healing lies with us humans, because when we look at the attack that these creatures of the night have launched on us, the attack is kids and separation from parents, and mother in particular. Now, mother is female, which represents emotion, right? As a human being, 70 or 80%, 70 as a man, probably 80 as a woman, of your body consists of water, which is emotion. So what do? They separate you from your emotional connection, your emotional support, which is your mother, the most important support there is. Literally, think about this energetically, spiritually, physically, in every way. That child learns to A, not trust the mom, and B, actually hate the mother. Now, what does that mean? That you, therefore, every relationship you have thereafter is based on betrayal. Because the first relationship that you ever had, your mother, woman, female, the one who gave birth to you, is all about betrayal. So every relationship you have with everyone after that is going to be marred with betrayal. We have to realize this is how they're attacking us. It's not with guns and warships anymore. They just do that to pretend. We got to go back to see, where did they destroy my family lineage? The family is where we come back. And that's why I work with kids. The book I've just released for kids. We do the art of warrior. We go to the place that they've attacked first. Kids, mother, parents. Never mind the MK Ultra that came after that. We go to the emotional family bloodline
Right.
connection.
Right.
And we go back, and we go back to my spiritual self, my higher self, my sacred connection with my creator, God, source, whatever you choose to call it. And you remember why I chose this experience, because that's where my free will and choice comes in. When you're a baby being circumcised, you ain't got no free will and choice. But your soul, before you came into this body, agreed to that. Why?
Right. Well, maybe there's a karmic debt that we have to get over,
I
and
w-
each one of these lives, maybe it's maybe
perhaps,
our soul
perhaps,
was very
perhaps.
brave and we knew it was going to happen, but
Yes,
it's a way of burning off
we.
that evil that we've had from our previous lives, maybe.
I think it's. I think yes, possibly. I do. I definitely believe that there's a lot of truth to that, but I think at the same time, and I think what I'm seeing more and more as a healer now, is that there are amazing souls that have chosen to experience this disgusting SRA to come out on the other side and tell us, and come out healed or balanced. Or, I mean, I cannot tell you how many amazing people I work with who have been victims of child hunting by their parents, their fathers hunting them, and their friend. I mean, I can't even begin what trauma that must put a child through. And these women have been able to forgive. And when I say forgive, it's not, yes, daddy, it's okay what you did. Not at all. It's come through understanding why they chose this experience, because
Right.
they are healers. You guys are healers, and you've come here to show the world what the fuck is going on there. And I mean, I love your research, Sean. You've done, I mean, what you've come up with here is incredible. I think it's the first step to understanding the male psyche on our planet right now,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
female psyche, and his mistrust, his natural mistrust of women,
Right.
right?
If you um, like the dark occult, I mean, I've done a lot of research in the dark occult itself, right? And they they seek to impose their psychopathy onto us and their worldview, and to turn our society into the mirrored opposite of the
Right.
real of nature that they, and a lot of what they do is the removal of emotion on purpose.
Exactly.
They do this thing,
Exactly.
the cremation of care, or they burn it, and they they call 7-7 the magician's number as opposed to 777. It's just it's a refined will and a refined intellect, but there is no emotion. They don't care about that part of consciousness because the emotion and the
Exactly.
care binds us to the laws of the natural law of like do no
Exactly.
harm, right? And so by removing that
Creation.
yes, and they believe that that frees them in a way to be more free and to have be able to not have rules in this prison hell of whatever they believe that they think they're in, but that in a sense it binds them further because
Totally.
now they have
Yes.
this they become slave to their urges and to their masters, and it's they become locked into a pyramid of obedience into evil, right?
Exactly. And in a very much a patriarchal society, because remember now, going back again, they remove emotion. Emotion equals mom. Emotion equals feeling,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Emotion is feeling, and it's the feeling of trust. Emotion is not just bouncing off the walls and whatever, or being screaming like a banshee. Emotion is trust. Emotion is feeling joy. It's looking at, I mean, it's your little child, your son, looking at you when he sees you and running to you as opposed to away from you. One of the survivors said something that broke my heart a number of years ago. And I was speaking to her and I was saying something about my dad. And I said, and I still said yes. I mean, my father was a 6'6" gentle giant. I absolutely adored him. He was my hero. And I just remember as a kid, every time I saw him, my whole face lit up. I felt like I was like a lightning bulb that just was switched on. I could literally feel it, and I would run to him. And she said, running to your father is the most normal thing. But she mentioned something about I had to run away from mine whenever I saw him. Do you know? I mean,
Yeah.
ah,
Talk about
right?
betrayal right there. I mean,
Wow. Well, I mean, that guy was a Salute Scout, okay? So those are ex-Rhodesians here in this war. When I now see Facebook posts about the Salute Scouts and how brave they were in this war they fought in Africa, no,
yeah.
no, no. Anyway, we won't even go there. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
But
Rhodesia has roads in the name, and that guy was definitely evil, part of this cult of evil. Yeah.
well, the girl with Beverly Rhodes that I interview.
Oh, right,
She's
right. I'm talking about
she
Cecil Rhodes and the
Yes,
Milner Group and that
yes.
whole thing. But okay, yeah, please continue.
Her handler, Peter Daniel Rhodes, was offspring of Cecil John Rhodes. And yes, and he came to South Africa in the 70s. And under the instruction of Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, he set up the child trafficking rings in South Africa. Cecil John Rhodes was annexed from his family in the UK because he was so gross with kids, and that's when he came to Rhodesia. And now you got to know these guys colonized Africa, okay? The African people were their objects.
And now
You should watch. Mm,
I'm just saying, sorry, and now they they promote circumcision to Africa, and they say, "Oh, it'll cure it, it'll prevent AIDS," which they also imposed on Africa, right? I mean,
totally.
these are
They
killing.
injected
Yeah,
in the smallpox vaccine. Yep, we got a dose of AIDS in our smallpox vaccines. That's well documented already from the 80s. These guys that put up their pop-up clinics all over the rural areas in South Africa and all over Africa,
right,
and jabbing us, trying to wipe out the African population. It's
right.
just disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense that they people of this type of society would be told to abuse their own children. I mean, look at what they do to the rest of the world. There is no care on their part. It's like the end result of psychopathy. And what do psychopaths want to do? It's dominate the weak, and what do you do? Like
Exactly. Hello
right,
babies, animals. I
tie them
mean,
down.
they're such brave heroes when there's like 5,000 of them tying you down with masks and things and looking all creepy, right? That's so brave.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so gross.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's like it really it is the oldest and most effective form of mind control, and that's why it's still done today. The dark occult isn't going to let go of something that works so well, and those of us that are thinking individuals, the listeners of your show, and the hopefully other people that will find it later and will listen, um, we have the choice to not participate. We actually, this is it's our sacred duty to be stewards of our children, and
absolutely.
they don't have the power to say no to such horrific acts, and it's our job to say no. And there is no other choice. People are like, "Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, are you going to circumcise? Oh, what do you think?" There is no choice because it's not
Yeah.
your body. It's
Yeah.
the
Don't
mother,
touch it.
right? The mothers are trained in this society to think that I own my baby. I can
Yeah.
do with it what I want. I can kill it in the womb if I like, and then when someone tells them you shouldn't because it's his body, the mother gets like, "You're trying to take away my rights." They're given this reactive, like, "Oh, I hate you. I'm going to do this in spite of you," and this type of, and it further cements it into our culture. So we all have this choice. And like I said, there is no real choice, but we have the duty to speak up and use our every chance that we get to protect our babies and to know the truth. There is no, another thing, it's important, there is no informed consent. Like in the hospitals, they don't tell the mother that you gotta pull back the wound every diaper change, and it's going to re-traumatize the baby every time you do that because it would heal to the glands if it didn't. Like the wound has to be reopened, and so like they don't tell this to the mother. They don't tell the mother that the baby could die or the baby could lose his entire penis, just or many things that happen wrong. And they say, "Oh, it's just normal thing," and "Oh, you're going to circumcise, right?" That's how they ask. They don't say, "Would you like to?" They just assume that you are because that's how it's done, and it's just another thing to add to the bill that they can have in their hospital. But so this is what this show is about. This is the informed consent, and it's freely available on the internet for anybody to find, and hopefully many people will find. I've been talking as much as I can about this subject, and so hopefully, well, I mean, my voice is out there as much as possible, and so that mothers can find this and know the truth, and even women that don't think they're ever going to be a mother. You might have a sister or a friend that's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm pregnant," and we need to be armed with the truth.
Yeah.
And
The
we have to,
knowledge.
right? And we have to have the care for that person to tell them the truth,
Right.
even though it's like, "Oh, don't talk
Absolutely.
about that." You must, because if you don't, then the most horrific thing occurs. I mean, the very badly horrific thing, maybe not the most, but it is, in my opinion, it's the most horrific thing that happened to me in my life. And it's the most horrific thing that happened to many males. And a lot of them
Yeah.
will deny that and just not know and go on being blind to themselves, you know. So it's every mother's duty to know the truth and to act to protect their loved ones so that we can
I
look
agree.
back and not have a regret. I mean, that's in my life, that's what I remember most is the things that I did wrong or the things that I didn't do right, and that's what we repeat in our head. And that's what the demons use to keep us in the cycle. But it's
Exactly.
like if we can act in a righteous way in the moment and to stay on the
Right.
side of protecting and love, then we will have no worries, and our future will be a gleeful remembrance of our children running to us with a gleeful
Not
face,
promise.
you know.
Exactly. Yeah, wow, so true. Running to us and not from us. How important is that? Wow.
And that's the
Sean.
healing of the nation, right? That's the healing of us all, our family to heal, right?
I so agree. I so agree. And I think if we as parents just had to think about this one thing, millions of babies are being born every day, literally. And if we had to just make a decision as a parent to not circumcise my son, that immediately would start changing the entire energy already, because there would be no trauma for little boys being lined up like sausages to be circumcised every day. No, guys, please, let's think about this very carefully. This is a very important topic we have to think about. And Sean, I'm definitely going to have you back because I think we need to be discussing this at length. I know everybody, it's not a comfortable topic. I know every person, I told a few people I'd be talking about this topic is like, what?
Right.
Yes. We're sharing inconvenient truths. This is a channel where we share inconvenient truths. So thank you so much for being open and vulnerable and sharing your story with our audience and everyone. I really, really, really do appreciate that. So, is there anything you would maybe like to end off with? And also just tell us where people can get hold of you. We will have your details in the description area below, but you could maybe just let us know where people can get
Okay.
hold of you if you're up to anything. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for doing your part in helping to teach mothers and people and fathers that have had it done. And, men and women we've all been affected by this trauma. It sends shockwaves through the family that goes beyond the actual victim of the cutting. The mother
Mm.
is affected because her child doesn't bond with her.
Yes.
The child won't latch, and and that
Yeah.
causes her to be in a cycle, and it divides everything. And like the prepuce is built to to connect with the folds of the labia. I mean, it creates like a
Mm.
suction, like it creates a union that's
Yeah.
our point, our synapse point where God and creation happens. And for the dark occult Satanists, that's where they're attacking. They
A
hate
separation.
creation. Yes, they hate creation.
Sure.
They hate God. They hate children. I mean, they hate themselves.
Yeah.
It's
They like to eat them. Yeah.
that
And they
too.
like their foreskins on their face. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. And they like to eat the foreskin blood, the pain infused. I mean, it's all like it's I mean, when you really recognize what it is, then it's like holy crap, this SRA stuff is real. Cuz look at what they're doing at the hospital down the street. What are they doing behind closed doors in their, black
Exactly.
robes? So
Exactly.
this should
Exactly.
this should be like one of those topics that helps to open the door to the rest of trauma and mind control. And really, it's not just about, oh, is it medically necessary or is it good or bad? It's about the mind. Our body and our mind are connected. We're one. By attacking our genitals, it is attacking that region of our brain and that
Oh,
part of where our love connection happens. And like I said, they're attacking love and creation. So, yeah, it is such an important thing. It's such an important topic. And if you do care about sovereignty and people owning themselves and true justice in
mm,
this world, then you can't overlook this topic. And if you see the bloodstained men out there with their billboards, stop and say hello, shake their hand, tell them that they're doing God's work. Because really, um, if you believe in the Christian narrative and all of this, these things, Jesus came to change the law. You no longer have to
right.
circumcise your baby. You circumcise of the
Exactly.
heart. That's the poetic,
Yes.
right? So
Right. You
there,
circumcise the heart. Exactly.
right. So we are in a duty to not circumcise. And if you are a good Christian, you're not going to fall for this Judeo-Christian farce that they've been
Bullshit.
putting onto us. Jesus divided us away from the old law. That's bad. To sacrifice children to Moloch, that's
Sure.
bad, right? So we should all
Sure.
get on board with Jesus' message of truth and love, and right. So God bless you
Yeah.
for saying what you said to your son and making that effort to heal the rift that has naturally occurred. That's
Absolutely.
so important. And I hope that many listeners will do the same or be inspired to even think of doing the same, because it's so important for everybody. And
So
yep,
is.
you can find me
So
at onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. That's my main page. And I'm also Awake the Dead on Spotify and YouTube and Rumble and BitChute and Odyssey and Google and Amazon, all the stuff. So you'll find Wake the Dead. And I've done uh, multiple shows with Jamie, our mutual friend, and they've
yeah.
done shows with other SRA survivors, and many of them are you will learn a lot, as I have. This has been a journey of discovery for me, and that's what Wake the Dead is as a project. And I do have a secret effort project that I'm working on. I haven't really told everybody about it yet, but soon it should be, And I talk about other topics other than trauma and mind control.
Oh,
But this one, but
lovely.
so
Yes.
so
So is
please
it a cool
visit.
project? Are you going to tell
Yes,
us or do we have to go look?
I am very well. I will tell everybody on my Twitter and all my stuff. I'll make an
Okay.
announcement on my show, and I'll be sure to go around on the podcast to promote what I'm working on. But right now, it's kind of still a secret. But pretty much people can probably guess. But if they look at what I'm doing lately, but yeah, I go
Perfect.
down some deep rabbit holes, and I pay attention to the dark occult and the mind control and all that stuff. So really, I'm trying to understand the mind. I'm trying to understand the world around us. And if anybody wants to join me, they should click on Wake the Dead. So thank you.
We will certainly have all your details in the description. So thank you. And yes, great, great podcast. I've certainly watched a couple of your shows. You're a great interviewer, I have to say.
Thank you.
So, and yeah, and I want to just encourage everyone to go over to Sean's podcast, Wake the Dead, subscribe to his channel. And yeah, we brothers and sisters around here. So we all just connecting and supporting each other.
Yes,
Thank you,
and I
guys. Mm.
I just wanted to say I am open and happy to do further episodes on this topic or other topics that you choose. If you want to get into the medical stuff of why it's bad, or you want to get into more of the mind control stuff, or we can go down deeper in if you would like to further this conversation. Just want to say,
Most definitely. We will
awesome.
definitely further this conversation. I think there are several little rabbit holes we could follow and yeah, just bring out information, let people bring the information. If people don't want it, then today I was called a Karen because I posted information about the real Nelson Mandela. I mean, all of us here know by now it's not the real Nelson Mandela that came out of prison. So but however, I've got to tell you, South Africans, I love you guys, but man, we're asleep. We need to wake up. We need to wake up. And told me I was a Karen.
Oh, well, where is I've been told I'm a QAnon crazy person, so just think of it as they don't understand. Just like Jesus said, like, oh, forgive them for they know not what
I
they
don't
do.
know what they do. I try so hard.
Right?
I try. 80% of the time I get it right, but oh, that 20%, man, this month.
Yeah, it really is angering. It's angering, yeah. But God bless you for what you're doing. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Shorter. God bless you too. And I'm very happy that you have your little boy and your family is lovely and safe. And I'm really, 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 really appreciating your sharing your story and all this information. And we'll see you soon, guys. We'll see you back soon again for more inconvenient truths. You know where to tune into. Like, share, subscribe, everyone. And just, yeah, stay cool. Stay cool. Stay kind. Stay a little bit sassy too. Bye.